And so today, every year during this month of Saka Dawa, the Vaisak month, we recite and actually collect the recitation of the Om Mani Padme Hum mantra. 100 million, and so there are many people who are doing this in many different places, and so the money pill that is actually blessed through the recitation of this 100 million mantras is also distributed everywhere. And for this recitation, for this practice, we have a text that was compiled by the late Rinpoche. And this time we have the monks from Dzongkha Chöde Monastery who have requested this initiation of Avalokiteshvara. So for the first 3 days, when we do the 24-hour recitation for the next 7 days or so, the Dzongkha Chöde monks could participate in it during the first 3 days. So the ritual itself is not so important, the words are not important, but you have to actually reflect on the meaning of the practice that you do in relation to Avalokiteshvara. And so the main practice is bodhicitta and that of the view of emptiness. So within the practice of the view of emptiness, from within the state of meditation on emptiness, you arise into a deity, and so whichever text you use may not make a difference if you could do the main practices of bodhicitta and the view of emptiness. So the Lokeshvara practice is done during the 10th day of the month, since the previous Dalai Lama, the 10th Dalai Lama's time. So somebody told me today is the 10th of the Tibetan month, and I said, I don't care about that. I'm not actually interested in the words, but in the meaning of the practice. So when you recite the Om Mani Padme Hum mantra, you need also to do the front generation of the deity, Avalokiteshvara. So for the front generation of a deity, for our practice of reciting and collecting the money mantra, we have the Jigten to the Lord of the world, Lokeshvara, Avalokiteshvara. And so you need to be single-mindedly devoted to Avalokiteshvara and then recite the mantra. And Avalokiteshvara is praised by all Buddhas and has all the qualities. And therefore, we say we prostrate the Avalokiteshvara. Avalokiteshvara is the deity of compassion, as Master Chandrakirti says in his Madhyamaka Avatara. In the salutation verse, he salutes the great compassion, which is important, essential in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the path, when one has reached Buddhahood as well. And Master Nagarjuna also praises the Buddha by saying, I prostrate or pay homage to the Gautama who, moved by his compassion, taught us the sacred dharma and so forth. So within the teaching of the Buddha, there is practice which we do only in relation to the Sutrayana, and so the three turnings of the wheel of Dharma were given within the Sutrayana system. And then for those with pure karma, the Buddha arose in the form of the chief deities of a mandala and gave teachings too. And so that is a teaching which pertains to this specialized teaching. So the specialized and the general structure of the teaching of the Buddha are terms which were coined by Nyengwen Sungrapa. So according to the mental dispositions of the different disciples, the Buddha gave different teachings accordingly. For example, when you go into the Tantra, there, according to the physiological structures of the channels and also the energies and the vital drops, because of difference in amongst the different practitioners, these different tantric systems were taught by the Buddha. So it is very clear that the Buddha gave teachings according to the mental dispositions of his disciples. And so Avalokiteshvara here is a deity of compassion, and in fact an embodiment of compassion. The past masters, most of them have meditated on Avalokiteshvara as their main deity and then progressed through the path and the grounds. So we do the practice of reciting and collecting the money, the Om Mani Padme 6-syllable mantra. That's the main purpose here, that we are doing this initiation also. And then with regard to the initiation rite, generally within the tantric teachings there is the Ngangyur, Nyingma tradition, and then the Sarma, the new school tradition. And within the Nyingma tradition, there is the distant transmission of the karma, the words of the Buddha, and the close lineage or transmission of the dharma, the hidden treasures, and then the profound transmissions of the pure vision. And so within the visionary teachings, the deities appear either in actual called perception, your own sensory perception, and secondly, the second higher is that of the visions happening in a meditative kind of a state. And then the least visionary experience is having visions in the dream. So the great fifth Dalai Lama had the visions of these different deities, and his visionary teachings are compiled into Sangwa Yachin, which means the secret visionary teachings. And with regard to these sealed secret visionary teachings of the fifth Dalai Lama, it is said that it is the like the father teaching of the Dalai Lamas, and therefore Tata Rinpoche considered it very important to pass on this transmission, the whole transmission, to me. So when I was receiving these transmissions and initiations and the entrustments and so forth, every night I had some dream which are different from each other. So from this visionary teaching of the fifth Dalai Lama, Sangwa Gyatchen, so there is one part which is about Dzogchen, which I was not quite sure if I received it from from Venerable Tata Rinpoche, but I received it from Digu Khyentse Rinpoche. So first I have to do the preparatory ritual. So while I do the preparatory ritual, maybe you should recite the Om Mani Padme Hum mantra. Not to recite it quite quickly, because if you recite the mani quickly, then you would be actually saying money, 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 and leaving out the other syllables, and then it would seem like you are actually counting money in English language. So Om Mani Padme Hum, this 6-syllable mantra, so of course there is the explanation where the 6 syllables are related to the 6 realms, beings of the 6 realms of existence. But I usually explain this mantra by saying that Om is the initial syllable of mantras. Even in the non-Buddhist traditions, they do recite this Om syllable. And according to Buddhism, Om is comprised of 3 letters, A, U, and Ma in Sanskrit. And so which actually represents the body, speech, and mind. So all beings, Buddhas and sentient beings, have the body, speech, and mind. And so on the basis of these, we designate the enlightened beings as Buddhas and unenlightened ones as sentient beings. Though the mind is naturally pure in its basic state, but it is covered by those of the defilements which are temporary. So there are 2 states that we can talk about. One state of the mind where the mind is affected by these defilements, but these defilements can be overcome. And what actually can overcome that is the understanding or the insight into reality of things. And so there is an antidote to the defilements. And the antidote here is in the mantra is represented by or shown by Mani, which is the jewel, and Padma. So the Mani represents or shows that of both the method, and Padma shows that of the wisdom. So the Mani, the jewel, represents bodhicitta, the spirit of enlightenment, and Padma represents that of the wisdom realizing emptiness. And therefore, we need to combine these two, the bodhicitta, spirit of enlightenment, and the wisdom of emptiness, which are the method and the wisdom. And so, therefore, whom represents that of the combination of these two, the method and the wisdom. And so, from this, through the practice of the combination of the method and wisdom, which are the bodhicitta and the wisdom of realizing emptiness, without separating these two, the method and the wisdom, then your body, speech, and mind, which are impure now as sentient beings, can actually can be transformed into pure body, speech, and mind of a Buddha. So my body, speech, and mind, which is represented by the Om. So let's recite this. This is praise or homage to Avalokiteshvara. Your 1,000 hands represent those of the 1,000 Chakravartin kings. Your 1,000 eyes represent the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate realm. And you appear or work for the sentient beings in accordance with their mental dispositions. I pay homage to you, Avalokiteshvara. Om mani padme hum, 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 Om mani padme hum. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, money be me, money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, money be me, money be me, money
Money be me, 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 money be me. Be me, money 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 be me, money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, money be me, money be me, money. Money be me, 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 money be me. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, money be me, money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, money be me, money be me, money be me, money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, money be me, money be. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money be. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, 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 money. Money be me, money be me, money. Money be me, 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 money be me.
So this verse could also be related to
Money be me, 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 money be me.
常住生着日不
bo che mo ye pa no ki ju ke ba nyam ba kon ne kon do me wa ran sho.
东尼里家呀，以送水小的。
So this verse could also be related to the view of emptiness. Wa sho.
他这个，这里，那个，他们这个。
So today, people gathered here are all those who keep the samayas. Well, and the Dzongkha monastery, for generations, some generations, have taken care of the Avalokiteshvara statue, Wadisangpo, which is to the right of His Holiness, towards the back. And then after we suffered turmoil in Tibet, it was brought to India and to Dharamsala. And when Dzongkha monastery, the monks were just leaving for South India, a divination was done whether to send this statue of Vadisangpo, Avalokiteshvara, with the monks of Dzongkha, or to keep it here. And then the divination showed that it should stay here. And so Avalokiteshvara Vadisangpo was a statue which was served by the Dzongkha monks for many generations. So I have kept this one with me, and I always have a look at Vadisangpo. So monks of Dzongkha, they used to say that sometimes the face changes. So when I look at Vadisangpo, the face sometimes changes, even during a single prayer to him, single session of prayer to Vadisangpo. So Vadisangpo stays with me inseparably. So I feel very fortunate. You have written a history where you said that during the great fifth Dalai Lama's retreat on Avalokiteshvara, there were two brothers of Avalokiteshvara, one from Ngari and then other which is in Lhasa, in Potala. And so the great fifth Dalai Lama put these two statues together and did retreat. And during those retreats, he received lots of visions, pure visions, in which he saw the deities. So this particular initiation actually happened in such a way that Songtsen Gampo emanated or emerged from the heart of Vadisangpo, and then the initiation was conferred. So sometimes I see Vadisangpo statue to be smiling. I don't have the meditative kind of a pure vision of this Sangpo, but I do have visions in dreams. So after coming into exile in India, when I was in Swag Ashram, before moving to the current residence, I saw myself going to the Chokhang Cathedral in Lhasa, and in the dream I saw Avalokiteshvara, which is called Rangjung Adin, the one with Avalokiteshvara with the 5 self-emanations. And Avalokiteshvara Rangjung Adin was actually winking at me. and actually beckoning me to come. And then I went up and I actually hugged Avalokiteshvara by his neck. And Avalokiteshvara, Rangjung'a then told me to keep up with your diligence without feeling tired, without a sense of tiredness, and be perfect your effort. And then after that dream, the statue of Avalokiteshvara was actually, that statue of Avalokiteshvara, Rangjung'a then was destroyed amongst other statues. And so Rangjung'a then actually told me to keep up with and strengthen my diligence, perseverance, without any laziness. And perfect the joyous effort. And so some part of that Rangjung'a then actually reached here. And so it should be somewhere there. And some face I put inside the 1,000-armed Chandrasikh that you can see to my right. So Rangjung'a then Chandrasikh actually was telling me in my dream that I should not feel discouraged, though the statue of Rangjung'a then would be destroyed. And one time I had a dream where the Avalokiteshvara Vati Sangpo was going in front of me, and I was behind him, and then I was asking, we were talking to each other, and I asked him whether he realized emptiness or not. And he said, yes, I do. And then I asked whether you realize emptiness directly? And he said, yes. So I had no real kind of a respect to Vati Sangpo, but we were talking as if talking between two persons. And so it shows, in a way, I have some karmic connection with Vati Sangpo, Avalokiteshvara Vati Sangpo. So Dzongkha Chöde, you are the ones who were the caretakers of Vati Sangpo. And so you have requested this initiation from me of Jigten Wangchuk, the Lord of the universe, or Lord of the world. So some broken part of the Rangjung'a Din Chandrasikh is brought to His Holiness, and His Holiness asked to keep it on the table to his right. So this is the face of Rangjung'a Din Avalokiteshvara. This is one of them, and one face I actually put as inside the 1,000-armed Chandrasikh. I usually boastfully say that Avalokiteshvara is my boss. In English, I would say that. So I am an efficient messenger of Avalokiteshvara. So I have done my best, and we could see some result of my effort. So I am a messenger, an effective and efficient, successful and efficient messenger of Avalokiteshvara, who is my boss.
고생하고 좀 당하신 데보다 되게 그래서 이 저거 깨질 게 뭐가 좀 그런 것은 이렇게 넣어주는 취사 나중에 온 도시 20도시에 20시부터 이제 이게 뭐 전부들 다 보고 좀 그렇잖아. 나중에 제대로 보는 건데 어서 오다는 것도 빨리 이거도 상황이죠. 어서 오다는 것도 빨리 이거도 상황이죠.
So part of the ritual, the empowerment is 3 parts: generating a mandala, the special reflection, establishing and offering the mandala of special concentration, and extensive divisions of the powerful ritual, empowerment ritual that ripens the disciples. Please repeat these lines. Through our compassion, in order to develop, liberate sentient beings, we seek the ripening and liberating Mahayana. Please bestow that upon me. Let us make the mandala offering. This ground and honored with perfumes, tuned with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the moon, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagined it as a Buddha field, this as a Buddha field, and offer it to you. May all beings enjoy the pure land. May the suffering of sentient beings be dispelled by this sound of the Dharma drum. And may you live for an inconceivable eon and give teachings to us. May the suffering of sentient beings be dispelled by the sound of the great Dharma drum. May you live long, live for inconceivable eons to teach the Dharma to us. May the sound of the great Dharma drum dispel the suffering of all sentient beings, and may you live for inconceivable eons to give teachings. So since some time, I never make this offering of ritual cake to remove obstacle beings. On a daily basis, I meditate on bodhicitta and say that I call upon all sentient beings as my guests. And as it is said in Bodhisattva Charyavatara, in the presence of the Buddhas, I call upon all beings to the state of Buddhahood, and in the meantime to have happiness. May gods, Asuras and so forth be happy. So if we pray we make such prayers, and we mean by them, then there is no sentient being whom we can consider or regard as our enemies and adversaries. So having developed bodhicitta to benefit all sentient beings in the temporarily and in the long run, so I really sincerely make this prayer to dispel when I say this prayer, as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of transmigrators. So I don't really see the purpose of doing this kind of Gektor offering. So for someone, maybe there are people who need these rituals to get rid of obstacles or demons and so forth. But for a practitioner of bodhicitta, there's no need to do that. And so I don't make the Gektor offering, ritual cake offering to remove obstacle beings. I have a friend Lama whom there's a story that he has to tell. So in the ritual, he says that the negativities of the disciples are actually cleansed, so that these negativities are removed from the lower part of the disciples' body. And so when the Lama said this, after and then offering this to the Yama, and so another Lama said after the teaching that, don't you really feel compassion towards the Yama? So there's no sentient being whom you can call as your enemies or negative spirits harming you and so forth. The real demon and obstacle is within yourself. That of self-cherishing attitude and grasping at true independent existence. Therefore, what you need to do is meditate on bodhicitta and the view of emptiness, and therefore you will be able to counter these real enemies that are within yourself. And so as practitioners of Buddhism, we should not think there are demons and some kind of obstacles and negative beings are outside of us. So for thousands of years, we have been doing this kind of ritual to dispel obstacle beings and so forth. And we say Om Sumbani mantra to expel these interrupting beings, and even saying that these interrupting beings are actually expelled across the ocean. But where we have reached is we left our country and have reached India. So the Tibetan deities and spirits today live in India, And now where are we going to expel them from here? If you do not exchange your happiness and joy with the suffering of others, live alone, reaching Buddhahood, even in samsara, there's no happiness. And which intelligent person would despair riding the horse of bodhicitta, which leads one from bliss to bliss? And then in the ritual for accepting bodhicitta, it says that I shall generate bodhicitta in order to fulfill the interest of myself and others. And therefore, what this shows is that bodhicitta is the factor that you practice for your sake as well as for the sake of others. And so, there's a story that is related here, but we don't need to go through that. So as I said before, there are three types of visions, pure visions. So the fifth Dalai Lama had the highest form of vision, which is the vision, pure vision, which happens to one's perception, direct perception of the sensory perceptions. So we have made the mandala offering. Next is giving the garland of flowers. Otherwise, you can keep the other mandala. Put on the blindfold. As I already explained, the tantric teachings, the sacred mantrayana teachings, have many different types of deities, wrathful, peaceful, and deities, and different activities, such as activities for extending one's lifespan and so forth. So many different practices, and therefore, to show the secrecy of Tantra, you are given this blindfold. And so, imagine also that you are given the flower, garland of flower, which you would be offering later to the deities of the mandala. So the guru is in the form of Vatisangpo with one face and two hands, surrounded by four other Tathagatas, and then four door guardians, which are the female goddesses. Please repeat these lines of request. Please ripen and liberate us by leading us into the mandala of Avalokiteshvara. And next is taking refuge. All sentient beings, myself and others, to the host of deities of until I see my own face, I take refuge.
早上会出去的这些没事的，日语性的日语大多数的应不真实，马上从我。
So Buddhahood is not somewhere out there, but because we have that of the Buddha nature, the defilements that are on our mind are temporary, whereas the luminous awareness nature of the mind is something which is beginningless, has been there since time beginningless, and it will be endless. And so there is a possibility to become enlightened by removing these obstacles, the defilements, from this luminous awareness nature of the mind. So this clear light, innate clear light mind is the basis, which is the fundamental to attaining the goal that we seek. So what actually covers this potential that we have for attaining the three kayas, three Buddha bodies, is those the defilements. The clear light mind, which is innate, we cannot attain it newly. So this clear light, innate nature of the mind is the basis for attaining that Buddha bodies, and what hinders us from attaining that is that of the afflictions, which are temporary, and these afflictions in turn are based on those of the wind energies, impure wind energies. And the movement of the mind also happens because of these wind energies. And so the adventitious wind energies and the mind are dissolved after we have been able to, after we are able to push the wind energy into the central channel and retain it, and then absorb it within the central channel, then the primordial mind, the innate nature of the mind alone remains. Accumulating merit. So what we have recited before was, may I recognize and see nakedly the primordial perfect Buddha within me, and in order to liberate all beings, I generate the mind for awakening and engage in the supreme yoga for the benefit of others. Please repeat this for the seven-limb practice. For accumulating merit and With the body, speech, and mind, I bow respectfully to the Lama, Yidam, and Dakinis, Tathagatas, who are seated on sun, moon, and lotus cushions. I present you with the outer, inner, and second offerings, confess all transgressions as well as non-virtues and obscurations, and rejoice in the practice of Tantra. I request you to turn the Tantric wheel that leads to ripening and liberation, and to not enter into Nirvana. I dedicate my virtues to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. May I realize the perfect Vajra Yoga. And next is so for the bodhicitta, generation of bodhicitta, we'll use this text which says, I seek refuge in the three jewels. So the three jewels of the Buddha is the teacher, the Dharma jewel as the actual refuge, and the Sangha jewel as the assistance on the path. So the purpose of taking refuge in them is all sentient beings across the expanse of space, infinite as the expanse of space, to lead them to that state of Buddhahood. For that reason, you take refuge in the three jewels until you reach enlightenment. So, not only saying that I will take refuge until I reach liberation. And so when you say, I take refuge until I reach enlightenment, Buddhahood, that makes the refuge, the process of taking refuge, such that you take refuge until enlightenment, Buddhahood. Lama Rinpoche has said that if you wish to accomplish one's own goal, you need to meditate and cultivate bodhicitta. If you wish to accomplish the goals of others, and also the temporary and long-term goals, you need to cultivate bodhicitta. And through the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the highest community, I seek refuge until I reach enlightenment. To fulfill the interests of oneself and others, I generate the mind for awakening. That is the generating aspiring bodhicitta. And then the last verse is for that of the engaging bodhicitta, having developed the mind for highest awakening, and so forth. Please repeat. So having developed the mind for highest awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. So having developed and cultivated this highest mind of awakening, from now on, I will not consider any sentient beings, even from the corner of my mind, that they are my enemies and adversaries or obstacles and so forth. So for their longevity and strength and health, good health without sickness, so on the basis of practicing even the 10 avoiding the 10 non-virtuous actions, you do them in relation to sentient beings, and more so by developing infinite love, compassion, and then develop that of bodhicitta, thereby treading the path and the grounds culminating in Buddhahood, and therefore for achieving one's own goal and having developed the mind for his awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. I shall engage in the delightful, sublime, enlightened conducts. So the Bodhisattva practices are called the sublime, enlightening conducts. So from now on, even you feel determined that you will consider bodhicitta as precious as your own life. So all sentient beings across the expanse of space are equally in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. So we're all related, and therefore in order to think that you will lead all sentient beings to that state of omniscience and therefore generate bodhicitta and take bodhisattva vows. I seek refuge in the three jewels. I confess each and every misdeed. I rejoice in the virtuous deeds of all beings. I take to heart Buddha's enlightenment. To the Buddha, Dharma, and highest assembly, I seek refuge until I reach enlightenment. To fulfill the interests of oneself and others, I generate the mind for awakening. Having developed the mind for highest awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. I shall engage in the delightful, sublime, enlightening conducts. May I attain Buddhahood to benefit all sentient beings. Repeat again, I seek refuge in the three jewels. I confess each and every misdeed. I rejoice in the virtuous deeds of all beings. I take to my heart Buddha's enlightenment. To the Buddha, Dharma, and highest assembly, as I seek refuge until enlightenment's reach. To fulfill the interests of oneself and others, I generate the mind for awakening. Having developed the mind for highest awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings as my guests. I shall engage in the delightful, sublime, enlightening conducts. May I attain Buddhahood to benefit all sentient beings. So we finish 2 times, repetition. And at the end of the 3rd repetition, from the depths of your heart, with full joy and without feeling discouraged, even with regard to in connection with the teaching that we have now of Buddha Shakyamuni. We have the 17 Nalanda masters and the 80 Mahasiddhas and so forth of India, and also the Tibetan masters of all the different traditions, whose name, as no sooner we hear them, we can actually feel tears rolling from our eyes. And so this is because they have developed bodhicitta within themselves. And therefore, I actually, being someone who wishes to train in their footsteps, you actually make this determination that you will generate bodhicitta and engage in the bodhisattva practices. I seek refuge in the three jewels. I confess each and every misdeed. I rejoice in the virtues of deeds of all beings. I take to my heart Buddha's enlightenment. To the Buddha, Dharma, and the highest assembly, I seek refuge until I reach enlightenment. To fulfill the interests of oneself and others, I generate the mind for awakening. Having developed the mind for highest awakening, I shall invite all sentient beings and my guests. I shall engage in the delightful, sublime, enlightening deeds. May I attain Buddhahood to benefit all sentient beings. Maybe recite this. Just as all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have generated bodhicitta and accordingly trained on the Bodhisattva path, likewise I will do so. So there's no greater factor or practice than bodhicitta to purify one's negative karmas and obscurations. So if you cultivate bodhicitta, the negativities, negative actions that you have accrued for over many eons will be purified. So there's no greater force than bodhicitta. And so when you are able to cultivate bodhicitta, that will lead you to and have the wisdom of emptiness as well. And so all the obscurations, our defilements are through that of grasping at some kind of independent, true existence and self-cherishing attitude. And so there is no greater force to accumulate merit than bodhicitta, and no greater force to purify negativities. And therefore, Shantideva says in Bodhisattva Charyavatara, for eons, the Buddhas have reflected what is the factor which definitely brings good well-being to others, and they found that it is bodhicitta only. So whether you wish to fulfill one's own goal or goal of others, and to overcome obstacles, sickness and so forth, there's no greater force than bodhicitta to accomplish these goals. And when you do tantric practice, if you do this within the context of the bodhicitta and emptiness, without these two, doing tantric practice may not mean much. So there was a person in Tibet in the past who was visualizing himself as Vajrabhairava. Maybe, I mean, he had a very firm concentration. And because of that, his visualization of, he had quite a firm visualization of himself as Vajrabhairava, and when he was passing through some house, he got stuck on the door frame because of that visualization of the horns. And next is taking the tantric vows. Please repeat these lines for tantric vows. Ho, Buddhism of the 10 directions 4 times. Host of deities of Mahakarunnika, who brings together the Tathagata families, conferring empowerment within the great self-arisen mandala. Please listen to me with affection and pay attention to me. From now on until enlightenment, I take refuge in the unsurpassable rituals and hold the supreme mind of enlightenment without deterioration. I hold without exception the samayas of the 5 Tathagata families, which are the roots of the Vajra essence. As the spontaneous samaya of the Tathagata family, I keep without exception the 3 precepts of the 3 objects of refuge. As the samaya of the unchanging Vajra family, I will not be separated from these 3 seals. As samaya of the wish-fulfilling jewel family, I will actively practice the 4 types of giving. And as the samaya of the Immaculate Lotus family, I will maintain the sublime dharma. As samaya of the manifold karma family, I will keep all samayas and vows of and make offerings. I will keep the special samayas of the divine mantra, the great bliss, and Vajra. In union with my 3 doors, I will keep the 5 samayas, each of what is to be understood, what is to be not to be rejected, what not to be adopted, or what to be adopted, what to be practiced, and what to be engaged in, together with the 28th root. 28 root and secondary samayas. I'll keep all the vows of the Vajra essence secret tantra. Through this, may all migrating beings be freed from the ocean of cycling existence and achieve the level of unsurpassable Vajra dhara. So this text is according to the Nyingma tradition. Now, as long as it's using the usual text for tantric vows. So that completes the taking the tantric vows. Do I have a tea? His Holiness is asking. I don't know about others, but what about my tea? And next is a very important point, which is the all-encompassing yoga mind. Generating the all-encompassing yoga mind. So this is very important practice. I do this every day. As soon as I wake up, I take Bodhisattva vows and also use lines from Bodhisattva Charyavatara and whip up my determination. So within this all-encompassing yoga mind, you have the two factors or principles for the two Buddha bodies, the Rupakaya, or the physical dimension of the Buddha body, and then the Dharmakaya. And so bodhicitta is for Rupakaya, and the emptiness, meditation on emptiness, is for the Dharmakaya. As I explained earlier, the different defilements that are within our mind can be overcome through the application of the counteracting factors, and therefore they are temporary, and therefore they can be overcome. So first, meditate. So first meditate on the conventional bodhicitta, which thinks that you want to become an enlightened Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. And so having done that meditation, imagine that this mind, spirit of enlightenment, transforms into a white disk of light at your heart. And next, meditate on emptiness. So these lines from Madhyamaka Avatara are very effective for. So the bodhisattvas on this sixth level and so forth see everything as being empty of inherent existence, and they go to that of the cessation, and while being absorbed in the cessation, their mind also follows after the suffering of sentient beings, and with compassion. So even this quantum physicists today say that there's nothing objectively existing. And Chittamatras say, this is similar to Chittamatras, who say that once you break down things into their smaller and smaller parts, nothing whatever can be found to be that object. And therefore they say, the Chittamatras say that things that appear to be external are because of our reflection of the imprints that are left in our minds for them. On the conceptual mind, we have the imprints for the objects that appear to be external, and they say there's no externality, and therefore they talk about non-duality of the subject and subjective mind, the perception, and the object that they perceive. And so this may help in this Chittamatra view can help in reducing one's attachment and other passions. But how does it actually help to counter the grasping at our experience of pain and pleasure that are within, although you may say that there's nothing external. So what does that really help to counter that? So, of course, the Madhyamakas say that if you analyze the things and try to search for the designated objects, nothing whatever, whether external or internal objects, nothing can be found to have any independent existence. Though they do not have any independent existence, either externally or internally, yet they do exist. External and internal objects do exist by way of convention, and that understanding does help the grasping at true existence, and therefore the Madhyamaka Avatara line, which says that the bodhisattvas enter into that of the true cessation, and because of being able to overcome the defilements in their mind. And so the Buddha, having turned the first wheel and second wheel and third wheel, as we discussed the other day, the day before yesterday, so you need to actually consolidate your understanding by bringing these points together. Whereas the Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddha practitioners who are fallen in the extreme of peace, the Bodhisattvas are not fallen into the extreme of peace, and therefore, though they do reach that of cessation, they are compassionate towards the helpless sentient beings, as Madhyamaka Avatara says. So now meditate on emptiness. Look at yourself and try to see where you are, who you are. As following this analysis that is given in the 22nd chapter of Mula Madhyamaka Karika, which says, neither the aggregates nor separate from it, neither the aggregates are in it, nor it is in the aggregates. What is the Tathagata? The Tathagata is not does not possess the aggregates. Who is the Tathagata? And so apply this to yourself and check whether your body, speech, and mind are yourself. But they are not. But they are the basis on which the Tenzin Gyatso, for example, myself, on the basis of my body, speech, and mind, I'm designated as Tenzin Gyatso. Apart from these three, the body, speech, and mind, where is Tenzin Gyatso? There's no Tenzin Gyatso as such. But what happens to us is Tenzin Gyatso appears as if it's something concretely there, and therefore we try to point our finger when we are asked where we are at something. But when you do this kind of critical analysis into yourself, nothing whatever can be found to be yourself. Not your whole body, not the parts of the body. And so when the parts cannot be found to be the whole body, and then you cannot also say that the whole body also has its own identity from its own side, and therefore nothing whatever can be pointed at being this and that. My body and my mind also cannot be found under analysis, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. But how do I appear to my mind? It appears as if it exists from its own side. And therefore, as Tsongkhapa says, at some point, without alternating, but at once, and so forth, when you see that of dependent origination of things as infallible, and you are able to dispel or refute that of the certitude that you have, that things have some kind of an objective existence, is destroyed, that at that point your analysis into the view is complete. And then Jeremiah goes on to say that further, when you dispel the extreme of eternalism through that of the appearances, and eternalism and the view, extreme view of nihilism through emptiness, you will not be captivated by the distorted views. And so nothing whatever, when you do this kind of critical analysis, can be found to be this and that. So though under critical analysis things, self and so forth cannot be found to be there as the designated objects that we search, but they do exist by way of worldly conventions. So in other words, now have this determination, the conviction that nothing whatever has any objective independent existence, just as they appear to you. Somebody's playing the radio so loud. So meditate on emptiness, thinking that nothing whatever exists the way they appear to us. And the seventh Dalai Lama has said, so in dream we see things as if they have some kind of objective existence, and also the magical illusions of a magician seem to be there. But these appearances, look at these appearances that happen to our minds, this flawed mind. So what appears to the distorted mind, it is very important to refute this appearance of some kind of independent objective existence in things. So when you look at one, whether in samsara, whether we take the objects such as self and others, or samsara and nirvana, nothing whatever has any objective independent existence at all. So the appearance of the objects as if they have some kind of independent objective existence is the object to be negated. So whether yourself or others, samsara and nirvana, and whatever you think of, they appear as if they do exist from their own side, but they don't exist that way. And if they did exist independently, objectively, then the critical, analytical mind of an Arya being should be able to find that, because it is actually a mind which searches for how things exist. And if things exist the way they appear, they should be able to be found. So now bring up this conviction that nothing whatever exists the way they appear to us. And therefore, the Buddha said, form is empty, emptiness is form, and form is emptiness not other than form, form too is not other than emptiness. So meditate on emptiness here for a while. So while saying that you are meditating on emptiness, withdrawing your sensory perceptions and just thinking of the mind, what appears to the mind, and then after a while you may think that you are meditating on emptiness, but you fall asleep. So these two principles, that of bodhicitta, conventional bodhicitta, and that of meditation on emptiness, these two are the factors which are indispensable for reaching enlightenment, Buddhahood. And therefore, now you pledge that you will keep these two principles until enlightenment. Upatayami. Om Sarva Yoga Citta. Upatayami. Om Sarva Yoga Citta. Upatayami. So just as you have generated these two principles of the all-encompassing yoga mind, imagine, know that at the Lama's heart too, there is the disc, moon disc, and the Vajra. You should also visualize a Vajra standing on the moon disc that you have visualized earlier. And so replicas of the moon and the Vajra from the heart of the Guru comes forth, shoots forth and dissolves into the moon disc and the Vajra, symbolizing the bodhicitta and the wisdom realizing emptiness. So the replicas of these two from the Guru's heart shoots forth and dissolves into the moon and the Vajra. So having generated this all-encompassing yoga mind during the while taking initiation, who is that bearded person? One Sadarji, Sikh. Where do you come from?
Come here. Shake hands. Here.
Please bring him up to me. So you have to actually cultivate this all-encompassing yoga mind every day. Whatever daily yoga practice you do and whatever sadhana you recite, there's always Om Svabhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma Svabhava Shuddha Ham mantra, which is meditation, shows meditation on emptiness, and as a support to that, we have that of the cultivation of bodhicitta. His Holiness is asked to give him the blessed water from the vase that is used for the initiation. So where are we now? So as I explained earlier, meditate on emptiness. The disciples should do that. Avalokiteshvara is merely designated by name and concepts. And therefore, from within this meditation on emptiness, you arise into Avalokiteshvara. From the sphere of emptiness, you arise instantaneously like a fish jumping out of water in the form of great compassionate Avalokiteshvara. Your crown is sealed with the white syllable Om, your throat with red syllable I, and your heart with the blue syllable Hum. As you now have the nature of the three Vajras of the primordial wisdom of clear light, imagine that the Vajra Master makes offerings to you with the pushpe, flowers, incense, light, perfume, and food and music. So asking what kind of color appears to your eyes is not very important. Please repeat this. So please may this flower garland fall on the deity with whom I have the karmic connection. Please repeat. The flower fell in the center. So this is the Akshobhya Lokeshvara, which is the main deity in the center of the mandala. So your secret name from this initiation of Avalokiteshvara is Akshobhya Lokeshvara, Akshobhya Vajra. Please remove the blindfold. So now imagine that you are able to see the whole of the mandala and the deities in the mandala with your direct perception. So Java Lama Lama Idam Ray Sola Bird, the Jawan Jishin, the Chingal of the Sui, Lamgurun, and please repeat this. In this mandala of the great compassion, Lokeshvara, let me become ripened and liberated. So this is the vase initiation. So imagine you have received the vast initiation. Bestowing the empowerment that relates to the capacity of disciples' minds enables disciples to practice Tantra, ripens their mental condition so that they are able to attain the corresponding results. So next is Ratna Lokeshvara, the crown initiation. Imagine you have received it. Next is the Vajra empowerment of Amitabha. So from the sphere of emptiness, you dissolve in emptiness. From the sphere of emptiness, you arise on a lotus moon cushion on which is a red syllable arm, and the syllable transforms into Empowerment-2. So the initiation beings now confer the initiation onto you. So the great Vajra empowerment, which has arisen from the three secrets of Empowerment-2, shall be given to this fortunate youth, fortunate children. Om Vani Beme Hong Tri Padma Lokeshvara. The Vajra is given to your right hand. The right hand, you should hold it at your heart. And owing to the virtual empowerment, your desires attachment is verified, your aggregate of discrimination become Empowerment-2, and you have attained the discerning wisdom. Next is the bell empowerment, the fourth one of this knowledge empowerment. The virtual disciples in the bell, that is empowering substance, dissolve into emptiness. From the sphere of emptiness arise the lotus and moon cushion, on which is green, red, green seed syllable come. The syllable transforms into Amoga Siddhi Lokeshwara. His body is green with right hand stretched out and gesture of giving the supreme Siddhi, and his left hand is bent in akimbo. He stands upright with his legs, with his feet put together. He is dressed in silken and adorned with jewels on his crown and his throat, and in his heart are the syllables Om Ahum. From the home syllable rays of light amid work the wisdom beings who resemble Amoga Siddhi Avalokiteshvara. With Zahum Bamho, they descend into the body of Amoga Siddhi Avalokiteshvara, Lokeshwara. Then the Vajra Master presents the 8 offerings to the deities, to the disciples as the deities. Visualize that Amoga Siddhi Lokeshwara dissolves and becomes the bell, that is empowering substance, the empowering deities in the space in front of you. You hold the bell and bestow the bell empowerment. So you received bell empowerment. With this, the envy is purified. Aggregate of the compositional factor become Amoga Siddhi Lokeshwara, and you have attained the accomplishing wisdom. And next, name empowerment, which is related with Vairocana. So you have received the Vairocana initiation of name. And next is Vajra Master initiation. For that you make mandala offering. So please repeat this. Please bestow me the sublime initiation or empowerment. Grant me the excellent, irreversible Vajra Master empowerment. So the disciples arise in the form of the 6th lineage of Avalokiteshvara. So you hold your bell in the right hand, and which the Vajra in your right hand, symbolizing that of the great bliss, and bell in your left hand, bell symbolizing emptiness. And you cross your 2 hands at your heart, showing the indivisibility or the union of the Vajra and bell, or the 2 principles. And you visualize yourself as a deity. You are given the mental samaya of Vajra, verbal samaya of bell, the physical samaya of the console. Your mental continuum is filled with bliss and emptiness that were generated by the union of the outer inner Vajra and bell. This leaves the special potential to accomplish your own and others' benefit. Also, you are given the permission to learn this tantra, meditate on it, and teach it to others, and are thus empowered to engage in skillful actions such as taking disciples under your wings and so forth. This is the Vajra Master initiation. So receiving the empowerment through the water of the vase purifies the stains of your body. The remaining water gathers and overflows and gathers at the crown of your head and becomes the Lord of the Tathagata family, Amitabha, who serves as the head ornament. All the deities of the 3 seats of the completeness that are in the auspiciousness space in front of you dissolve into you. The deities of the mandala and the Vajra Master express auspiciousness and throw flowers so that the deities of the three seats of completeness are consecrated within you. Om Supatita Vajraya Swaha. And then you are made offerings, since you have been given the authority to reign over the three realms of existence as Dharma King. The Vajra Master presents you with the 6 offerings: flower, incense, lamp, perfume, food, and music, while making the corresponding gestures. Therefore, with regard to the outer mandala associated with the 6 Tathagata families, you are now empowered to learn about, teach, meditate, and engage in the yogic activities. And next comes empowerment of the inner deities of the mandala. In order to be empowered with regard to the generation stage of the inner body mandala, the empowerment of the deities of the mandala, which purifies ordinary appearances, is given. Think that you are the principal deity. Replicas of the inner 9 deities of the mandala come forth like a butter lamp flame, igniting the next lamp, and the replicas descend one after another and dissolve into you at the respective points of their empowerment, so that your empowerment on you, so that you perceive whatever appears to you as sports of the kayas or of the illusion-like deities. Thereby, you have attained the special potential to accomplish your own and others' benefit. The symbol or portrait of the main deity is held at the heart. So, may Vajra Mahakarunika, granting the empowerment of these fortunate ones, transform their aggregates of consciousness, and may they attain the Dhamma-tattva wisdom. And then next is the symbol is of Empowerment-2 is the crown, and with this the aggregate of form is purified, and the mirror-like wisdom is attained. And with the Empowerment-2 symbol at the navel, the aggregate of feeling is purified, and you attain the equalizing wisdom. And then the symbol of Empowerment-2 is held at the throat, and it purifies your aggregate of discrimination. Please put on the blindfold. And then the Amugasiddhi symbol, which is touched on a sacred place, and your aggregate of compositional factor is cleansed, and the accomplishing wisdom is attained. The symbol of the goddesses of the East is held in the right, and you accomplish the peaceful activities and attain empowerment of great love, and so forth. So then the secret empowerment. So with this blessing of taking the nectar, your body is blessed, so that the channels and wind energies and the drops are revitalized, so that in the future when you do tantric practice, this helps to clear the obstacles to these channels, the wind energies and vital drops. So that is the secret, and then next is secret empowerment, and then comes the knowledge, wisdom empowerment. Please repeat this. Hong, please grant me the excellent empowerment of the great bliss of knowledge, wisdom, causing the 4 joys by means of a qualified and appealing concert with 16 qualities. Please put on the blindfold again. Please. Oh, yeah. So here it mentions the consort is noble of noble lineage, 16 years of age, and seeing her gives you joy, your experience of innate great bliss, which is free from the conceptions that cling to duality. So the meditated consort, and you go into union and then experience the four joys sequentially, and then you experience the clear light of innate clear light mind, and which helps to purify or overcome all the defilements. As Jamyang Shepa Rinpoche says, although both the Tantra and the Sutra teach emptiness, the subjective mind meditating on emptiness that is superior is only taught in the highest Tantra. And therefore, the subtlest obscuration to knowledge can only be overcome through the highest Yoga Tantra practice. So seeing the purpose of developing this clear light mind, realizing emptiness, meditate on the four joys. When as the vital drop melt from the crown down to the throat, heart, navel, and the sacred place, you actually go through the experience of the four joys, which are called the joy, supreme joy, special joy, and natural innate joy. And then they are brought back in the backwards movement, and again you experience these the joy, supreme joy, special joy, and innate, natural innate joy sequentially as they move up. From the perspective of the great, self-cognizing, naturally innate clear light mind, all phenomena of the are of same taste. Seeing this is the nature of the wisdom, knowledge, empowerment. Next is giving the name empowerment. For that, you make a mandala offering. Please repeat this request. Gema. Alas, the Vajra Master, please grant me the four empowerments, the power of awareness, the direct insight, the pristine wisdom that has always been self-arisen. Give me the fourth instruction, fourth empowerment. So keep your body upright in the Vajrayana posture with the 7 postures or features. So sit straight, straighten your spine, you breathe calmly and naturally. Close your mouth naturally. And don't follow what your eye sees, nor what the ears hears, and sound and smell also, and taste, as well as tactile sensation. Don't follow these. as you do experience, like in a deep sleep, there's only the mental consciousness, and this mental consciousness has a feature of mere clarity or luminosity and awareness or cognition. So when we talk about mind, we can actually talk about mind in terms of a temporal sequence, although temporal sequence also can be related with those of the objects, external objects as well, because the mind is not a material of form. We cannot talk about special extension of the mind, but only in terms, it can be described in terms of temporal sequence. And when we talk about the present mind, half of that is gone, and half of that yet to come. And therefore, you cannot say, pinpoint or point your finger at the past or future mind. So when you analyze the mind itself, the present also is half gone and half yet to come. So this mind, which is innate, clear light, cannot be found when you search for it in its designated object. Whereas it is always together with this subtlest wind energy, and cognitive nature is the mind, and then the movement towards the objects is that of the function of the wind energy. And so this subtle wind and mind serves as the basis. As they get more purified, it serves as a basis for manifesting into those of the illusory body and the clear light mind. So there are many different types of illusory body, but what is taught in the Guhyasamaja Tantra is quite significant, unlike others. So the normal learning stage of the union of the illusory body and the clear light must be preceded by a trainee level illusory body, union of illusory body and the clear light. So once you attain that of the final meaning clear light, the example clear light, from there the illusory body arises, and then you absorb yourself in single-pointed meditation with the clear light, and then you progress further and you become enlightened once you reach a state where you never reverse from there. That is a Buddhahood. Having overcome all the defilements. And so the Guhyasamaja explanation of how one progressively achieves the union of a normal learning stage, can give you some conviction as to, there's no other way that you can actually attain this state of a union. So whom recognize all pervasive, all good, the five wisdom, emptiness and clarity that have not been mastered, the inexpressible natural state of the four pleasures or joys of the downward and upward, Om Jnana Kaya Abhikinsami. And next comes giving the stick, the walking stick. So Songtsen Gampo appears as a transformation of Vajraguru, and he appears in the form of a rainbow and light. His vivid and bright rainbow-like body holds a Dharma walking stick made of a wood called ba, and that has these three joints. He touches that walking stick to your heart while giving the following explanation. Generating the stick is symbolic for the unique drop of Dharmata. It is upright, its uprightness spontaneously arisen and fundamental nature, its whiteness, freedom from stains of the imprints, its softness and beauty, symbolizes freedom from karma and afflictions. Its shiny and resplendent aspect symbolizes pervasive, untainted bliss. So in the highest Yoga Tantra teachings also there's mention of the fundamental consciousness called Alaya Vijnana. And the seizing unimpeded wisdom, the three joints are the three spontaneous kayas. It never changes and recognizes its own nature, owing to the sport of the sense afflictions, kayas, wisdom, self-appearance and self-liberation made obstructions and imprints of the fundamental consciousness be purified and made become one with the Mahakarunika's mind. Jnana Abhishekati. So this completes the initiation of Lokeshvara. So you have pledged that you will meditate on bodhicitta and the wisdom of emptiness already. So this you should not forget. So I actually seriously practice and meditate on these two principles of bodhicitta, the spirit of enlightenment, and the wisdom of emptiness. So this really is helpful for making transformation within my mind. So I have meditated on these principles for a long time. So you as disciples, my disciples, should also follow in my footstep. And then within this meditation, keeping yourself within the perspective of the bodhicitta and the wisdom of emptiness, then you can recite Om Mani Padme Hum mantra and so forth. So from tomorrow, we'll have the recitation of this six-syllable mantra. So of course, there is the text for meditating and visualizing Avalokiteshvara, and so during the recitation of mantra, the six-syllable mantra, do your best to meditate and cultivate the bodhicitta and the view of emptiness, so that you can actually make people say that this time, this recitation and the collection of the Mani mantra has been quite different from the previous times. So you, the monks of Dzongachede, are the ones who have served the Lokeshvara Vadisangpo for generations. So you should be able to make it different, but you should not have any expectation from your side to make it something special. So that's all.
我这也没这真是。
Sanje shendo mekte bewa ye chokwa namta shinla chebar sho Rana mandala kamneya tayami. So if you want the text for daily practice after taking this initiation of Avalokiteshvara, please come to me. Tabe sendeb na kanjin gombo tenzin yatso ye kotse mishi kenjara rabden shedun lenge. This is a long life prayer of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Na zuo tam jie la da zha dong shuo zhao bui sun dem na kang jin guan bo ten zin ya zu wen zhe mi shi ke ya rab den jin shi dun len ge zhuo ba ra qin ge er ding ye de. Pen zhe top zhuo nga wa la ye la rab jam tu sum ge wa tam chi Da zha dong shuo zhao bui sun dem na kang jin guan bo ten zin ya zu guo ce mi shi gen ya rab den jin shi dun len ge zhuo ba ra qin ge lo ji kang ge ngai zhu xin qiu du xi wa nam zhang nor bu de sang me mi wa kun sang ge wei Tam be che ge co nam la da zha dong shuo zhao bui sun dem na kang jin guan bo ten zin ya zuo ye guo ce mi shi ge ya rab den shi dun len ge zhuo ba ra qin ge lo zhom la che ba wei ten dun wen sum che wei ye shi nam da ra do jie chong le mi che ba ri chu ba be ge dun tam chi Da zha dong shuo zhao bui sun dem na kang jin guan bo ten zin ya zu guo ce mi shi gen ya rab den jin shi dun len ge zhuo ba ra qin ge lo zhi xin da ne yu du zhi de dong nyam ge ra ru bei zhen zhuo ye ne zhuo lam san zhuo la chuo zi ne song ba wo kang zhi co nam la da zha dong shuo zhao bui sun dem kang jin guan bo ten zin ya zuo ye guo ce mi shi ge ya rab den
Ji shen de lin ye zhuo bo xin ye lun du jie chang ye ga da xia ye ye me zhe da ye den do ye gu den do nen ji yong ye du zuo ye jian de den zuo ya zuo da xiao dun xiu zhao bui so de na kang jie guan bo ten zin ya zuo ye gu jie mi xie ge ya rab den ji shen de lin ye zhuo bo xin de do lu me kyab ji chong nam la wo ni ne ni bi so do ne mi ji ni me guan zhu zhui bi guan ji bo ma wo lo san dian jin ya zuo zhu zuo mi xie mi yu mi nu bo sheng xie yang zhao do ji ni go wo ya zuo ye mi do dian xiao nam zuo ya wo ye ji bi wo nin do chao bo sun ye lao jin ye zhi de guan bin nian bo ji xie bo ji xie lin ye zhu de de zuo dian ga san nam ye yan de jie wa se che do Wen do rab do wen ye si si xie zi mo ye jiu jie zhen o bi mi qie lo de jie yan dao so nian ji su su da mi jie ga xie ji bi ram nian ne gu zuo jun yuan jie zhen da jin zhou mi jiu si jin ji bi qie lo da den den o mi bi den bo da da jie min bi de jin de lo yu o zhou nam mo Empowerment-2 Chuchu Gyawo Siji Tamji Yin Dewa Mani Nyindi Dona Labo Zivi Gombo Tuji Hojo Jiri Silo Sowo Den Jiri Sewo Chanju Donam La Labo Zivi Sumden Yelo Jizi Lo San Denzi Yazo Le Sowo Depso Dagyu Shinye Lo Tuye Melam Zende Dombo Ranjung Pobo Wadi Sambo Dan Yeme Jizi Denzi Yazo Lo Sowo Nezo Jinye Sunde Tsero Damchi Don Jizin Losan Denzin Yazo Le Labe Resa Shindu Mishu Tuji Singla Lamna Chando Zong Wenji Sambo Digbe Lele Me Chime Dosa Nison Tezi Dagi Nego Jido Yu Tuji Chagyu Nison Nene Niju da chamdo ninji chanju simju da taji nilu dobe dawa na nju la jewo sanje le jang gwenbe dambo cho lame doji tibi ngosho ne zame bon zidi ndo bo yo ngore rawe ngore shingam de pendo Jiri Siwon Dinjin Jazo Yin Shabi Njuji Mela Lobi Njawe Denbo Lang Kubi Nacho Sujin Sumi Jubo Mali Bo Chuzo Denbi Njuji.
Thank you. So as a preliminary to this, the recitation of the six-syllable mantra, we have done this is the Lokeshvara, great compassionate Lokeshvara initiation at the request of Dzongkha Chede, and I am satisfied, and you should also practice well. And when you recite the mantra, six-syllable mantra, you should please do recite it very attentively so that you'll be able to be on the, at the onset of the path to enlightenment. It's not impossible for this to happen. So be serious.
There's one lady from China, don't show that. There's one China lady, don't show that. Not now, I'll tell you. Yeah. Yes.